always mess that up. So we're going to do a gender-neutral haircut today. And like I said, this is my oldest child, Josie. And Josie's pronouns are?
They, them.
They, them. So hopefully I can always get those right. I do try my best.
We're working on it.
So just to give you a little bit of touch on what we did yesterday is Josie wanted a not color out, help me out. A root shadow with a vibes of bright blue. So we decolorized with a cream decolorizer. Josie's hair is very light, so I was able to use the cream, lighten it enough to take it off.
And it was pre-lightened.
Right, that's what we did. That's what the pre-lightening is. Yeah. And then...
Well, I mean, because there was color on it before.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we dried it and we put our vibes on. I also did vibes on the ends, which typically I would do a black, but I wanted to be able to do vibes on vibes so that I could melt them together. So we did a very dark color vibes on the ends and we melted that together. I have one side of Josie's head and hair pre-cut, and we're going for a what do you like? What do we call this cut?
I guess a mullet.
Like a modern mullet.
That's the closest.
A modern mullet.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you what I did over here to take this down to the scalp. I'm going to give you a really easy tip on how to do this tapering with one blade very, very easily, using the head shape and the angle of the clipper to be your guide. And then we blended and blended in the short to the long. And now we're going to do this side for you guys today so that I can show how I did it. So you guys ready to get started? Anyway, I'm so excited to be here with you guys today, so I'm ready to get started. So, you know, we all are artists, and it's okay if you prefer to start in a different spot than I'm going to start. I'm just going to go through this haircut as I would do it. All right, because our artistry is what makes us unique. I feel like when you get the foundation and the solid foundation of the haircut, you can make it your own. I'm going to scoot you this way just a little bit to your right. Perfect. Not too far. Okay. All right. So what I did first was I started with the bang. That way I can get a nice guide. And I want to make sure that I'm not standing in front of you, so turn this way a little bit. Now, can you see what I'm doing right here? Let's get a little bit closer here. Pinch closer. Okay. Okay, baby. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this hair down. I'm going to notch Josie's bangs, their bangs. If you do misgender somebody, just correct yourself, apologize, and move on. And I'm going to chip away at these bangs to take some of the length off. Rather than cutting it really blunt and having to go back and give it all that texture later, I'm just going to start by point cutting the length to take the length off. So now I have a great guide, as my bang being the guide. I'm going to go straight down the center of Josie's head, and I'm going to follow my guide. My guide is going to travel to the next section, and I'm wearing gray today so that as I cut Josie's hair, I don't have a background, so you should be able to see it better. So here, I'm again going to do a little bit of point cutting instead of just cutting it really blunt. Some points of the haircut, I will, cut it more blunt if I'm trying to get through the haircut quickly. Other times, I'm going to point cut it just to give me texture as I go. So the key thing about point cutting, and many of you probably have already figured this out, is that you want to cut on the way out. So if I'm going in to point cut, I'm going to cut on my way out. If you cut on the way in, you may have experienced cutting yourself. That's what happens. So move it forward just a tiny bit. Perfect. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue this right down the back of Josie's head. My guide is going to travel with me. I can see my guide in my fingers, and I'm going to chip away at this. Depending on where you're working, I will typically flip my hand upside down for more comfort and to be easier on my wrist. But it just depends on where on the head I'm working. And now as I get lower and closer to her their occipital bone and the length, I'm going to angle out because I want to make sure that I'm adding length as I go down and not tapering in towards the shape of the head. So one more. I'm hoping that this shirt I'm wearing is helping you guys see. Is it? Okay, good. Yes, my director says good. All right. How's everybody's weather? It's a little chilly here. Yeah, thank you. All right, so here's a tip when you're working around the hairline, when you're working with the bangs. If you have somebody that has a receding hairline, like I do, you need to allow that length in that first section to either over direct it or pull that hair out of the section so that you're not giving that person a hole in their bangs, because that's what it will create. And I know this from personal experience. So please don't cut a hole in my bangs. So I'm going to go in diagonally here on the left side of Josie's head, her bangs, their bangs, excuse me. And I'm just going to chip away at that. Now, Josie's hair grows in a diagonal motion right here, in a diagonal direction. So I'm going to follow the direction that Josie's hair grows. And so instead of taking this out of where it lives and cutting it here, I'm going to cut it right where it lives. So I'm going to take part of my guide here. I'm going to move back. Let me see. Can you see that? Can you see what I'm doing with my background? Okay. And here's my guide. I'm going to chip away at this. I'm going to move back another section. My guide travels, still on the top of the head. Here's another really important thing that I want to point out. When you're working on the top of the head, you want to keep some squareness right here. If you round this too much, what's going to happen is the person's head, especially when we're talking about short hair, is going to look like an egg. And so I will always leave some squareness right here. And then if I need to take a little bit off once I get to the side, that's when I'll take it off. Believe me, you all know what I'm talking about. I know you do, because you guys are real professionals.
The top will look more narrow than the bottom.
Yeah, it will look narrow. Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. So a little point cut through here. I'm going to go back one more section. I take a lot more sections when I'm cutting short hair than you need to with long hair, because you're working, a lot of times you're working on section. Here's another hint. Here's another cool thing that we're suggestion. I don't know. I'm trying to make sure that everybody can see. So when I go through the crown here, I like to take this section and cut it vertically. This way, it gives me control over, I can see the shape of the head and how short or how long I need to leave the crown. If I go in horizontally like this, I'm creating different lengths and over direction because I'm cutting it so blunt. Does that make sense? So I always go through the crown vertically for control over that, can't see, over that area. And you all know that not everybody's crown or head shape is the same, yes?
Flat head.
Yeah, with Josie, Josie tends to be a little flat right here. So I like to leave a little bit of length so that, we'll be able to get a roundness to Josie's crown. Okay, and then I'm just going to continue this down. And now in the salon, I'm going to be standing on the other side of Josie, but just to show you, here, I'm probably going to cut more straight than point cutting, and I'm going to work my way down, adding length as I go. So I'm angling away from the nape of the neck. So far, so good. All right. So now what I have done is I've cut through the top of Josie's one side. And I know this might sound a little weird, but I'm actually, go forward a little bit. I am actually going to move to the side of Josie's head now. So I'm going to take this hair, and you don't have to do it in the same order that I do. And I am going to push this hair out of the way. Clip it out of my way too, so that you guys can really see it. If I don't clip it out of my way, I do have that hair that's going to hang over my section. So I definitely want to clip that out of the way. And I'm going to go to Josie's parietal ridge. I can feel it right here. And I don't want to go any higher than Josie's parietal ridge, because then the haircut will go in and be more narrow on the top. So I want to leave it with the most width.
Then we're in Mohawk territory.
Then we're in, yes, Mohawk territory. That is right. So I'm going to get a nice clean section. Okay, and if this section doesn't look beautiful, it's hard to clip really short hair, okay? All right, so. I like to use I like to use motor driven clippers. It's just my preference. I like how they just cut right through the hair like a hot knife through butter. So it's just my preference. And what you can also notice is that with this blade, it's got an angle here, and then it's got another angle on the tip. I hope you guys can see that. And if you have these clippers, you will know. So what I'm going to do with Josie is I'm going to start by laying this angle of the clipper right against Josie's scalp. And then as I move up Josie's head, I'm going to rock back to this edge of the clipper, and I'm going to come straight up off of Josie's head. I'm not going to pull out with my clipper, and I definitely don't want to be going in and going above that parietal ridge. So I hope that makes sense, but I'm going to show you. I do always clean and lubricate my blades every time, because this actual blade, it will stay sharper longer, and obviously you need to clean it. And without lubricating it, it's just like that metal of metal. Right. All right. So I'm going to go right to the top of Josie's ear, but not behind it. So I'm just going to take this all off in one swoop. I'm going to make it so easy for you, okay? Love you, Sergio. I hope I'm seeing you at the big event. All right. So straight in with my blade. As I get a little higher, I'm stuck. Sorry, I got stuck. Hold on. As I go a little higher, I'm going to rock back on that blade, and I'm going to come straight up. So in at first, I'm going to rock back on that blade, and I'm going to come straight off Josie's head. So by coming straight off, I'm going to have a lot less blending than I'm going to have to do. So I'm going to show you one more time. You can see it okay at this angle?
A little bit.
This way?
Yeah.
This way.
Yeah.
All right, is this better? So I'm going to go straight in the first angle of my blade, and as I work my way up where I want my blend to start happening, that's when I'm going to rock back with my clipper and just come straight up. So now I can go back just by using those two angles of the blade. You can see it okay? I can go back in and just blend a little bit right there where I rocked back to the other edge of that blade. Actually, Sergio, I think I'm coming to Idaho this year. It's beautiful there. All right, so now we have a beautiful blend. And did that take me a long time at all? I don't even really have to go back in and blend that because I literally did it with the clipper and using the clipper against the head and the shape of Josie's head. It's blended. There is nothing else to blend. When you rock out with your clipper, you're going to leave a ledge and a corner. So this is a great way to learn to taper with a short blade rather than going in with multiple blades and having the blades get, how do they do it? They start longer and then go shorter? Because then you always leave a line because those clipper blades are different sizes. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my sharp scissors and I'm going to blend the very, very short that I just cut into the long. So it's not going to be a perfect blend, but I don't want a complete disconnection. Love you, Desiree. Boss babe. So you can pull this hair out with your, you can't see what I'm doing. You can. So you can pull this hair out with the teeth of my comb. And by the way, if you didn't notice, I did switch over to the part of the comb that the teeth are closer together. And this is a great, I mean, that's why they make teeth that are, farther apart and closer together so that you can get, we need different tools for different things, even in one haircut. So I'm going to go with my teeth closer together when I'm doing fine work like this. I can also go in, I got to stand this way. I can also go in with my fingers and I can do a little blend here. The other way you could do it is, I love my barber shears because they blend. One of the blades is serrated, so it doesn't leave a harsh line like your fancy, expensive, very, very sharp scissors do. So it's going to be hard for me to show you this, so I'm going to... Can you look and see if they can see what I'm doing, Josie?
I can't see.
Okay, so I'm just going to pull some hair from the length. And I'm in an awkward position. I'm good. I'm always going to taper with my hand this way. But because I'm in an awkward position to show you guys, I am tapering a little uncomfortably. All right. So now my goal is to take my guide from here and my guide from here and words connect. That's it. The word is connect. Is anybody having fun yet? Besides me, because I could cut all day. I love it. All right. So again, I'm going to stand behind Josie, which I would not do on this side of the head, but I want you to be able to see. So I'm going to go and find my guide. Let me see, turn you this way. Is that better? My shirt. So I see my guide here. I know that I need to angle closer to the head as I go down. I'm going to do a couple sections here. This part is part of Josie's bang. See that part? Just push that part out of the way. You don't want to cut that part. You can wet it, push it out of the way, but you definitely don't want to pull it into this because then you're going to leave that little hole we talked about earlier. So I see my guide here. I'm going to cut towards my fingers and get closer as I go down. And I'm probably going to do one more section here. And then you can either go in with your blending shears and blend this way, or you can continue to go in, but I'm at a very awkward angle to go in like this. So I'm going to do it with my barber shears and just take off that little corner that we need to take off to blend. How do you guys like this color anyway? Isn't it so cool? Josie's my muse, and Josie has always been my muse. Josie loves to wear their hair in all kinds of fun colors. So, and they make a great model. Look at the face, look at the face.
Wow.
Okay, so I am going to quickly take this, and I'm going to take my guide here and my guide in the back that I already put in previously, and we're just going to blend that all together. So I'm just going to take my guide. My guide is going to travel wherever I'm going. Lots of sections in short hair cutting. Lots of working on section with short hair cutting. You guys can see. Okay. So I'm making my way through here. Then I'm going to make my way through here, and that will finish up the haircut. Want to be at the right angle where you can see. And if you're left-handed, you actually might be working in this position, because I am not working in the proper position, in order for you guys to see that that's okay. All right, and as I make my way towards the middle, I can see there's very, very little for me to cut in this last section right here. And I'm even going to just turn you here. Finish this last section. And I do a lot of cutting into my hand, but it's just so that you guys can see better. All right, so now we have the length of the haircut finished. If I see any little, bumps or lumps that I want to take care of, I can do that at this time. Make sure my middle is blended, which it looks pretty good. Now I can go back in and give Josie some texture. I'm going to go on this side, babe. You scooch this way. So again, when you're point cutting, remember to cut on the way out. I'm going to elevate some of this. Let's see, I can go this way. And I'm going to do a little point cut here. I can razor cut all day long. Josie likes a lot of texture in their hair. So if you're comfortable with the razor, get out your razor. This is where you have a fundamentally good haircut. It's fundamentally sound. And then you make it your own. And we'll have to go over all of those different techniques of texturizing another time. So I'm going to do a little bit of blending here. So I'm going to use my 4420 shears to do a little bit of blending right here, because this got a little bumpy right there. And I think of hair cutting as sculpting. I feel like if I see something, I'll go in and actually take that exact piece that I'm seeing and do what I need to do, lighten it or shorten it or whatever that may be. Okay. I'm probably going to spend more time texturizing Josie's hair a little bit more, but I want to get into the styling. As Leah Freeman told me, 30 minutes goes really fast, and it does. So I cut a lot of short hair, and I like a lot of support for short hair. For Josie's haircut, I'm going to work the style into like a faux hawk. So I'm going to take a little bit of texture cream, because the texture cream is going to give me separation and support. And I'm going to cocktail it with Mega Gel, which gives great support. Awesome for short hair. So maybe like the size of a pea for each of them. The way I like to apply it is by using my entire hand, because when I go in to spread the product on, I'm going to use my whole hand. I feel like sometimes people struggle with styling short hair. So my best advice to you is push that hair into the direction that you want it to dry. And then when you are drying it, You're going to be lifting it from the scalp. So I will literally hold my fingers in here and direct at the scalp, excuse me. All right, here we go. So I'm going to glue this dry, and I'm going to use my fingers to lift that hair and push it where I want it to go. If you're going against the way that the hair grows, this is the time when you're going to get all your control of pushing it out of where it lives. And just lifting it with my fingers, come to the side. Blowing it at the scalp. And actually, you guys, when you're not standing in front of a mirror and you're doing a haircut, you find like, you're looking for the mirror, like, I gotta see what I'm doing. So I'm using my phone for that. And the great thing about Lonza's products is that even though I use 2 products and I cocktail them together, you can see that Josie I'll turn the hair dryer off. That Josie got a lot of volume, but Josie's hair does not feel tacky or sticky. So that is a great thing with Lonza's products. I want megawatt volume here, so I'm going to use air paste. And so air paste is a texturizer in an aerosol can, okay? If you haven't tried it, you need to. But definitely make sure you get a good shake, because there is a texturizer in there. And then I like to use this in short bursts. So maybe like for Josie's hair, maybe 5 or 6 short bursts. And then you can go in and place that hair where you want it. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. You'll love when it's your kid. I'm sure that Josie's going to be like, Mom, later. How cool is that? Yeah? You guys can see that? The color, I think, is so cool. But Josie's such a cool kid. All right, I'm going to finish up. Listen, this hairspray, okay? It is my absolute go-to. It has curl memory, so you get to, it'll hold that hair all day long. And now I can really get that hair to stay. And if it starts to fall on Josie throughout the day, they can wash their hands, and with their wet hands, just reactivate that product. So that's another great way to use some of these products, Lonza's products. So I think we're coming to the end of my 30 minutes.